Have you ever felt your entire world collapse in a single night, leaving behind nothing but the cold gray ashes of your hard-earned dreams and hopes? In that heavy silence, a desperate question echoes through the mind. Why me? Why does kindness and hard work seem to result in such an empty void? We often mistake the end of a chapter for the end of our story, failing to see the hidden message that destiny writes within our deepest failures. Every setback carries a secret letter from fate, a message that can only be deciphered when we find the courage to be truly still and listen. Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. Even the stillness of the fields during a storm is a preparation for the vibrant growth of tomorrow. The fire may have consumed the exterior, but the essence remains. To find the truth, one must look past the destruction to the core that survives. Walking through the ruins of our past is the first step toward building a future that is not bound by the limitations of who we used to be. When everything is lost, we are finally free to gain everything that truly matters. The void is not an ending, but a sacred space for rebirth. Do not let the smoke of today's disaster blind you to the possibilities of tomorrow. The silence after the crash is where your new strength begins. Life has a mysterious way of pruning our branches so that we can grow taller and reach for the light with more vigor than ever before. Seeking answers, the broken heart finds its way to the door of wisdom, where the noise of the world is replaced by the truth of silence. In a secluded hut on the hill, an old master works in silence, his every movement a testament to a lifetime of patience and profound understanding. He did not find a man of many words, but a man of many actions, whose presence radiated a peace that the young carpenter had forgotten. The master's hands moved with a rhythmic precision, turning a rough, weathered block into something of grace, one careful, deliberate shaving at a time. He did not offer empty comfort. Instead, he held up a gnarled piece of wood and spoke of the strength hidden within the most distorted shapes. "The fire took away the temporary," he said softly, "only to reveal the hardest core within you. Destiny burns the past to clear your path. Sometimes we must lose the house we built so that we can find the foundation that can never be destroyed by any earthly flame or storm. Your failure is not a punishment, it is a redirection. You were comfortable in the small, but you were destined for the great and the eternal. To create something beautiful, you must first learn to see the potential in the broken. The cracks are where the light finally begins to enter. Can a man truly start again when he has nothing left?" The master's silence was the only answer needed to spark a flame of hope. Every stroke of the blade is a lesson in letting go. We remove what is unnecessary until the true form of our soul is revealed. In this quiet space, the weight of the world begins to lift. The fire was not an end, but a violent invitation to a new life. "Look at the forest," he whispered. "It only grows thick and strong because it has endured seasons of death and the harshness of the winter. Every scar on this wood tells a story of survival. Without the wind and the cold, the wood would be soft and without any character." He realized that his hurry to succeed had blinded him to the process of becoming. The silence was teaching him what noise never could. The first night of his new life was spent in the presence of a master who knew that destruction is merely the precursor to creation. The master poured tea with a grace that made the simple act feel like a sacred ritual, inviting the young man into a deeper contemplation. The silent interval after a great failure is not a void. It is a period of invisible protection, a shield against our own impulsive nature. Think of the tree that stops growing upward to push its roots deeper into the dark earth, preparing itself for the storms yet to come. If your shop had not burned, you would have remained a common carpenter forever. Destiny wanted you to stop building and start creating art. We often fight the pause, fearing that we are being left behind. But the pause is where the universe recalibrates our path toward greatness. Silence is the soil of the soul. Without it, nothing significant can take root. Your current loss is the clearing of your inner garden. The master's work was not just wood, it was spirit given form. He showed that true value comes from the depth of one's own patience. Like the bamboo, we must be flexible enough to bend in the gale without breaking, trusting that we will rise again when the wind dies. The water doesn't argue with the rocks, it simply flows around them. Your failure is a rock in your stream. Flow with it, not against. Everything in nature has a rhythm of rest and activity. You are in your season of rest. Do not despise the winter of your life. Patience is not the ability to wait, but the ability to keep a good attitude while waiting for the seeds of your effort to sprout. The world will tell you to hurry, to rebuild, to fix it now. Wisdom tells you to breathe and let the dust settle first. He began to understand that his identity was not his shop. His identity was the skill, the passion, and the resilience within his heart. When you are empty, you are ready to be filled. The fire emptied your hands so that they could hold something much heavier and more precious. The philosophy of the silence is simple. Trust the timing of your life. Nothing is ever truly lost that was meant to stay. The burden of why was replaced by the curiosity of what's next. The silence was no longer a prison, but a sanctuary of growth. Freedom comes when we stop clinging to the ashes. The past is a ghost. The present is the only place where life can happen. Tomorrow we begin, the master said, not to rebuild what was, but to create what has never been. Are you ready for the work? The night was quiet, but for the first time, the silence was filled with a sense of purpose that the fire could never extinguish. The first step of rebirth is to embrace what remains. He returned to the ashes, not to mourn, but to harvest the lessons of his fire. He chose the wood that everyone else would throw away. He saw the beauty in the scorched surface, the character forged by the heat. Accepting impermanence is the first lesson of maturity. When you stop clinging to what is gone, your hands are free for the new. Nature teaches us that after every fire, the soil is more fertile. Your soul is now a rich ground for a much higher form of art. Your current failure is the universe's way of filtering out what no longer fits your new stature. It is a refinement of your very being. The rough edges of his character were being sanded down alongside the wood. Every movement was an act of healing and deliberate self-creation. A mentor doesn't do the work for you. They provide the space for you to discover the master that has always lived inside your heart. Each day brought a new layer of clarity. The physical work was just a reflection of the internal rebuilding taking place within the young man. When we pour our heart into our work, the work begins to breathe. This was no longer just a piece of wood. It was his story. He was no longer the victim of a fire, but the creator of a new world. The ashes had become his most valuable raw material. True art requires the harmony of the hand, the eye, and the heart. In the silence of the mountains, he finally found that balance. The details emerged slowly, born from hours of patient effort. He realized that speed was the enemy of soul, and time was his ally. Even the rainy days were a blessing. They forced him to stay inside and look deeper into the grain of the wood and his life. Who you become during the process is more important than what you produce. The fire burned away the boy and tempered the man. Words were no longer needed. The shared silence of the workshop was a conversation of souls, a transmission of wisdom through the craft itself. The precision he gained was a result of his inner stillness. Because his mind was quiet, his hand could be perfectly true and steady. He was now part of the natural order. His struggle was over, and his dance with destiny had finally begun in earnest and grace. Time became a tool, not a master. He worked with the sun and rested with the moon, his life finally in sync with the universe. He realized that the fire was the best thing that ever happened to him. It forced him to find a depth he never knew existed. The phoenix was finished. Born from the very wood that had burned in his shop, it was a masterpiece of resilience and transformed beauty. Do not rush to judge the tragedies of your life. Every delay has a reason, and every loss is the foundation for a greater filling. Be grateful for the silent interval. It is the time when destiny is working behind the scenes, arranging your most brilliant and successful chapter. Like a horse finding its stride on the open plain, you will find your rhythm again. The path ahead is wider than you ever imagined. The student becomes the teacher of his own life. He thanked the master, not just for the craft, but for the gift of perspective. He was not going back to his old life. He was stepping into a new one, carrying the wisdom of the fire in every step he took. The music of life is found in the spaces between the notes. The silence he once feared had become the melody of his new existence. He saw the world with new eyes. Every house, every tree, every person was a potential story of hidden strength and quiet, beautiful resilience. Patience is the calm acceptance that things can happen in a different order than the one you have in your mind and heart. The masterpiece was not the sculpture. The masterpiece was the man who carved it. The wood was just the medium for his inner change. As one sun sets on your failures, another is already preparing to rise on your triumphs. Trust the natural cycle of your own life. Gratitude is the final key. Being grateful for the fire is the ultimate victory over the pain that the fire once caused you. Walk your path with the quiet confidence of someone who knows that the universe is always conspiring in your favor, even in the dark. Life will always find a way. Your role is simply to remain open, to keep working, and to never lose your faith in the light. He returned not as a victim who lost everything, but as a master who had found the only thing that truly matters, himself. If you find yourself in the darkness today, remember that the darkness is simply the place where the most beautiful seeds begin to sprout. Have patience with yourself. Have faith in the journey. Everything is happening exactly as it needs to for your highest and greatest good. The silent interval is a gift of time. Use it to build your roots so that when your time comes, you will stand tall. Destiny never abandons those who maintain their faith in the inherent kindness and the mysterious wisdom of this beautiful, unpredictable life. Write your own story with the ink of resilience. The fires of the past are just the light that guides your way home today. The horizon is always moving, inviting you to keep exploring the depths of your own potential. There is no limit to your rebirth. We are never truly alone in our struggles. The masters are always there, waiting for us to be quiet enough to hear their guidance. Your healing has a ripple effect. When you find peace within your own ruins, you give others the permission to do the same. Thank you for sharing this journey of the silent interval with us. May you find the beauty in your own shadows and ashes. Believe in the journey. Believe in yourself. The best chapters of your life are often the ones you never saw coming at all. Until we meet again in the silence of the heart, keep moving forward with grace, courage, and an everlasting faith in your destiny.